The big cleft-bottomed peach that was the Peachtree Sports Club sign revolved in the humid air. Heat waves shimmered off the concrete like the sound of car horns made visibly. Everything was coated with a fine gray dust from the construction site across town, and the air smelled like cement. The heavy doors slid open and shut, admitting one man to the cool and dark of the very best of private clubs. The air was only faintly flawed by the smell of a pool and brass polish being rubbed on the rail of the bar that would not open for another 2 hours, officially.
"Morning, Mr. Isaacs," said the staff member, polishing glasses. "Like some juice?"
"No, Reuben," said the businessman. "How the wife, kids?"
"Fine, sir. Going to work out. I'll be here when you get back."
It was a hot morning, and the sun reflected off the western windows of the building opposite highlighted Isaac's brick-red complexions until he looked like a very son of the financial world. The Wall Street Journal furled in his huge hand.
"Dude, my hands are huge."
He came down the stair into the pool area, black eyes shooting form side to side as he looked around him. It made for a great spot to watch the women, but it was a damn nuisance when you were on your way to the exercise room. The air was always heavy with humidity, and the saris sometimes had wet footprints form where people slipped away for some quick revivers at the bar. He paused for a moment in front of the floor-to-ceiling mirrors to admire his trim waist and braid shoulders. At 66, man could not afford to neglect himself if he wanted to stay on top of his form and on a tap of the ladies. He wasn't the only man who liked sleek, curved sport model red hairs. A man expected to pay to enjoy quality goods, and his ruddy red penny, Penelope Urban, was quality. He frowned at the sight of Steve something. The Beach Boy blonde guy gave massages, and Isaacs would not let him touch him. He was too curious about other people's business. Someone had told him that Penny had once dated the Gut, or maybe somebody's who sort of look like him. Isaacs couldn't imagine why. Perhaps she was young and curious. An older, experienced man could save her a lot of goers.
"Is your wife, a goer, eh?"
And here the wimp was, coming right over as if he and Isaac spoke every day.
"Good morning,"
enthused the masseuse.
"Could we have a cup of latte? Maybe some fresh squeezed peach juice? It's important we talk."
Isaacs grunted and kept walking. Everyone wanted to talk to him, and it was always important. They needed a hot tip on the market, or they had a hot tip and didn't know how to cash in.
"It's really important,"
said the voice behind him, and Isaacs hesitated. He couldn't believe our ears. Face red as a traffic stop, the financier swung on his heel. "Yes?" he snarled.
"It about Penny,"
said the back rubber. Isaac saw red. No one knew about Penelope. He liked to keep his relationship simple, discreet, between the sheets and nothing more. "What?" he bellowed as if he could not believe his ears, although he knew he had heard right.
"Penny,"
said the bleached blonde without backing away, as he should have. He knows something, thought Isaacs, wishing not for the first time that he had the connections to make people disappear. Not that he would have used them, but having something to hint at would be a helpful thing. It would ruin his coy relationship with the cops, and that was more useful. "What?" he said again, to avoid saying anything else.
"I know. The pause was significant. Seeing Penelope Urban."
"Nonsense!" barked the money man.
"I have pictures,"
purred the masseuse.
"You were at her apartment just last night."
Isaacs reached out a ruddy hand and tore a manila envelope from the other's grasp. He ripped it open and flipped through the pictures inside. "Could be anybody," he said. "It's not I." But it was, he admitted to himself. There were not many men who had such broad shoulders and so narrow a waist. Even in the dim and booty shots, there was every reason to know whose arm Penny was clinging to. And Penny, his gorgeous copper-haired Penny, had had her face toward a streetlight and had photographed beautifully. Isaac shot a Black and Eli look at the young man.
No point tearing them up.
The wimp said.
I have them on a disc. They could go out over the internet and reach everyone who ever heard of you, and a lot you didn't. They call it spam.
He added.
And it doesn't come in a can, but you're too old to know that.
Isaac's owned several minor telecom corporations and a solid share of 2 of the majors, but he ignored the slur. Penny would be upset if her picture went out like this. Penny was a gal to appreciate the good things in life, and Isaacs knew what they were and had what it took to pay for them. He wasn't worried about Bruce Lucent. Lucent was a has-been before he ever became anything.
Those things you call dead haven't yet had the chance to be born.
Once he plowed his fancy rented-by-the-month car into a telephone pool. They said the cost went right up to his groin. That guy wasn't going to be making any ladies happy. No, it was Penny Isaacs thought of. A picture of his hand up her skirt and on her bare bottom all over the world would sour things with Penny for good. The pool's aquamarine tilted depths beckoned to him. Isaac locked both hands on the masseuse's forearm and pulled him and his pictures backward into the chlorine-scented depths. That takes care of the pictures, he thought, as he shoved at the youth's face, struggling to hold him under. With his greater strength and body weight, he was counting seconds. It would not do to actually harm the blackmailer. Scare him would be useful. 10 seconds, he thought, and released his grip, and swam from the side. Help! He yelled. He coughed and gasped, as if it had been he who had swallowed water. Call the cops! It was the surprise that had taken him off balance. A few words in the right ears and this wet-nosed DST would be glad to leave town. Atlanta was too small for the pair of them, and Isaacs knew which one was going to have to go. He fitted into the puzzle of local politics, law, charities, and religions perfectly. What's-his-name was a nobody, and he would stay that way.
Mr. Treehorn draws a lot of water in this town. You don't draw shit, Lebowski.
Already the club's staffs were running to help him over the edge of the pool. He stood, water, running everywhere, and said, "That man grabbed my arm and sent me off balance into the pool." He'd won already, Isaac knew. They were fishing the other guy out of the other side of the pool to keep the 2 of them apart. The manager, incongruous in high heels on the pool level, was already at his side, red lacquered lips gleaming in the overhead lighting, pouring out apologies. Her raccoon eyes rolled with sympathy as she purred and fussed. "Just get you a robe and send that suit to the cleaners." "I have a spare suit in my cubicle," he said. "If I could join you in your office, I think we need to speak about the behavior of your staff." "Of course," said the manager. "You poor dear, I can't imagine." Her voice faded as Isaacs made his exit, gratified that someone was going to have to go van the floor and carpet all the way up to the 4th floor, where his cubicle was, on the exclusive Platinum Peach Executive Cabana level he had already. See the soggy shreds of his paper and the pictures fluttering like rotting leaves in the bottom of the pool, and the pool cleaner maneuvering his equipment into place to clear the water. The ladies of the club were due to have their private hour in a few minutes, and some of them would even enter the water before they showered, did their hair and makeup, and had a liquid and gossipy lunch in the Georgia Girl Grill. Isaacs had never set a foot in the place. The avenged age of the girls was 45, and the real babes were at work or working out at this time of day. Isaacs took his time lathering the hair all over his body, rinsing twice, once hot and once cold. It would do the manager good to sit in her office and worry about what had happened. Whatever the kid's name was, his job was history, and a few words to the police. Better do it now, thought Isaacs, and grimaced when he discovered his cell phone had gone into the pool with him. That was one thing he hadn't thought to keep a spare of here. His BlackBerry was ruined too, but he kept that back up. "Shit," he said, elegantly. He smiled at himself in the mirror, revealing a lot of white, carefully capped teeth. Just one more thing he could complain to the manager about, one more touch of reality. Although her desk was intended to look imposing, Lucille Mackenzie looked cornered behind it when Isaacs walked in. She stood. "I am so sorry," she said. "He grabbed your arm, you said? You didn't really want the police." "Wanted my attention about something," said Isaacs. "I can't stop to talk with everyone and he wouldn't take a hint. My suit's ruined, my cellophane, my BlackBerry." "Well, the cub will pay for everything," said Lucille. "I don't know what to say about Stevie." "Is that his name?" rasped Isaacs. "Yes, Steve Suffern. He's popular with many of the clients." She toyed with a letter opener. "You say he touched you. I'm sure he meant well." "I'm not a man to make a fuss," said Isaacs, knowing that meant they both knew that as a member of the board he was a man who could and did. "But if I'd hit my head when he sent me for a tumble—" "Oh, God!" wailed Miss Mackenzie. "I mean, we have to think of the club. A lawsuit could break us. I just lost a few things and some time." "Does he have a contract?" Yes, we have all our employees sign contracts, Mr. Isaacs. Who knew that?" She went to the file cabinets along the wall, unlocked one, and hunted within. Isaacs admired her rear in its tight skirt, like a peach packed into stretch lycra. She had been good-looking in her time and kept herself up, but... "Here it is," gabbled Lucille. "Let me look that oar," growled Isaacs. She handed it to him along with a fetching glimpse of the top half of her black lace bra and the low neckline of her blouse. Behind her, on the industrial grey wall, filled the wall with hints of a world beyond Atlanta.
I want adventure in the great wide somewhere.
"I think we can just ask me." He paused. "Suffern," supplied Lucille. "His name is Suffern. He's popular." "I think the board can just ask him to leave. We can't risk a lawsuit. Something goes wrong after an incident like this, the board and management could be seen as negligent." "Oh, yes, I see," said Lucille. "See, it's on the agenda for Friday," said Isaacs. "I have to get about my business." He needed to speak to a contact or two in the police to make sure anything Suffern had at his place was removed before the boy got sacked.
Georgia on my mind.
Thank you, as always, to all of Mutant Museum's amazing Patreon supporters, particularly Zanazir, Michael Fattori, and Break System BSE. Also, a little request. If you know someone who was a friend of the old channel, and you do not know if they have discovered the new channel, please forward some of this stuff to them, because I'm really trying to recover my view counts to pre-Burnination levels, and there's a lot left to be done. So please forward this channel to someone who you think might enjoy it, and in the meantime, thank you for being you.